Hi, I'm Bridget Granke with Responsum Health. Today we are speaking to kidney donor and organ donation advocate, Chris Melz. Welcome, Chris.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, we're so happy you're here. So to start off, can you share with us what made you decide to become a kidney donor?
Absolutely. I guess the simple answer to that was I had a friend in need, a childhood friend of mine who was sick. And the day that I learned that he started dialysis, I made a cold call to the local transplant center that he was, he actually wasn't listed yet, but the hospital he was at. And that began our journey.
Oh my gosh, can you talk about what your primary concerns were going into that?
For me, my primary concern was my friend and his declining health. And, I think a concern is not knowing if you're going to be compatible as far as, the same blood type. And so this was in 2009. It was really before the paired exchange program is what it is now. So it really, when I was first introduced to the opportunity, it was my understanding that, it was dependent on whether or not I was the same blood type, and not knowing that going into it, it would kind of, was a little bit nerve-wracking, because you're at the point now where you feel like you're making some momentum to be able to help somebody, but you're really kind of going into it blindly because you don't really know yet if you are a match. Because we didn't know that ahead of time. I just knew he was sick, and I said, you know what, I can help possibly by, being a donor. So that was really, the hope was really all that we were going with at the time. Right.
Can you talk about your discussions with your doctor prior to the transplant?
Me, honestly, if I didn't really have any discussions with my primary care physician, but the team at the transplant center at Stony Brook, where we had the procedure, they were very thorough as far as just informing me of everything, prior to the surgery, and what we called the hurdles at the time, of as far as what I had to overcome, the certain tests, etc., that I had to undergo.
Was there any point that you thought about reconsidering your donation?
Me, no. Does it happen? Absolutely. And it's, being, it can be scary for some, not knowing what the outcome will be. We have hopes of what we want it to be, but things can go wrong, and but for me, no, there was never any type of concern. That's just kind of the way I am. I set my mind on something, I do it. Obviously, when it comes to something that entails your health, you want to be a little more cautious and not just say, it doesn't matter, I'm going to do it. But I was confident in the team that we were the team that we had around us at the transplant center, and that's really all I needed to be comfortable to be able to know that this is what we were going to do, and we were going to see it through.
And what was the procedure recovery time like for you?
Well, on paper, for a donor, it's about 2 to 3 days. But for me, it was a little longer. So we had the surgery on a Tuesday. I believe I came home the following Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. So, I had a lot of gas pain that comes with the procedure, and it's kind of, complicated to explain it in a short interview, but it is something that is quite common, and it can change in its intensity per individual. But for me, it was pretty intense, and so it kept me in there for a little longer.
Going off of that, do you have any health risks that you still face today as a result of your donation?
Health risks? Well, I mean, as we get older, we always you face more and more risks, and I mean, for me, it's really just about every year making sure that I, have a sonogram, and make sure that my kidney is healthy, know what my creatinine is, and just just watch my diet, watch exercise, just do the things that will help keep me in decent shape, keep my blood pressure down, and just my weight in an appropriate fashion, and really just that's about it.
And how is Will doing since his procedure?
He's doing good. He has other complications that led to his renal failure, so he'll unfortunately always battle that. But it certainly gave him a new lease on life. It gave him, he was always a very passionate and driven by many different things. He's a musician, and that's one thing that we always had in common. Because I still am, but to a different degree now, but a hip hop DJ, and he was always the producer. So we always, we had a lot in common with music, and so post surgery, he was able to be a little more active than he had been for a while because he was sick.
Oh, that's wonderful. What would you consider to be the most rewarding part about being a donor?
Just knowing that my friend is still alive and I could call him right now and talk to him.
Yeah.
That's it.
And what role did your experience as a donor play in you becoming a nurse?
Well, I mean, the experience kind of just put my life on a new path, a new mission. I've always been in my days of being a hip hop radio personality and tour DJ. During that era of my life, I also produced a hip hop magazine, which was really geared towards educating young artists on how to promote themselves, get the music out there. It was just a way to help other individuals create their own path and follow their dreams. And I was, my brother was always my partner with that, and we were facilitators in that form. Really, the path I'm on now is very similar in that it's, I'm about educating others and sharing my experience with the hopes that maybe somebody will get inspired by it, or just know that even if they're not inspired by it, have a better understanding of the procedure and knowing that it's not this big, bad, scary thing that you want to stay away from. That you want to embrace the fact that you might be able to help somebody else. So yeah, it's just changed my whole path. I about 2 years after my surgery is when I started focusing on deciding to go back to school. And when you do that in your late 30s, you battle a lot of things. And primarily you battle, I'm too old, I'm too busy, this and that. But then one of my friends gave me the best advice. He said, the quicker you start, the quicker you'll be done. And I said, wow, that was so deep.
That's some great advice there.
But yeah, so yeah, that absolutely put me on a new path. And I received my license in 2016. I immediately started working for Live On New York, which is an organ procurement organization, and their role, every state has one, most states have more than one, and organ procurement organization, their role is to facilitate tissue and organ donation from deceased donors. When someone passes away and they're listed on their driver's license to be an organ or tissue donor, that's the organizations that help facilitate that process. So I did that for many years, and I always kept a good relationship with the transplant team that did my procedure, and that's where I am now. I'm working as a transplant coordinator on that same exact team that did my transplant 12 years ago.
Oh my gosh, comes full circle.
Yeah, absolutely full circle. But it's beyond just being a nurse. My path was never really, my focus was never really to be a floor nurse. For me, and not to discredit that or in any way, but my point is, for me, it's getting the education that a nurse receives and being able to take that into my own path, as far as being able to educate other people about donation and the need for living donors, and really, in my own way, put my own spin on it and educate in a comfortable way that I know how to do.
Yeah. If you were speaking with someone who was considering a donation but was on the fence, what would you say to them?
Well, first I would want to know why they're on the fence. What are their main concerns and their reserves? Because you have to attack that first. You have to know, well, why are you hesitant? And everybody has their own take on donation and their own fears and concerns. So you really want to focus on those and discover what, was there a misunderstanding, a misconception about a certain thing that may make an individual hesitant and not want to do it. Once you kind of unravel that, then it really boils down to, are they able to do it? Are they healthy enough to do it? And is it something that they really, really want to do? Because when we always educate our patients that when it comes to a donor, we're not giving you anything. You don't really get anything out of it other than knowing that you help somebody else, which is everything, right? That's the greatest feeling in the world. But my point is that you don't get healthier by giving away your kidney. So our goal is to make sure that you're healthy enough to do it, and you'll be able to stay healthy afterwards.
Right.
So.
Now, we know that you're a devoted advocate of organ donation awareness, and we'd love to hear about your advocacy and outreach efforts. Can you talk to us about what you've been up to?
Sure. So, through the years, I've stayed in contact with the National Kidney Foundation, and I've part of their donor advocacy committee. I've done lots of public speaking with them. That there's various workshops and things of that nature. They have their donor summit that they do every year down in DC. This past year obviously was different due to the current climate, but and that was always a big event where we go down, and pretty much it's a lobby day. We go down and meet different local officials and just make them more aware of the concerns and issues that donors and recipients, dialysis patients, et cetera, that they deal with every day. And then just being able to educate people around here. Just, my thing too, in my community, in the hip hop community, it's a very, for the most part, it's a very unhealthy environment, because there's a lot of when you're a musician in general, it can be a very unhealthy environment. Not always, but for the most part, because there's a lot of late night studio sessions, there's a lot of unhealthy eating on the go, and I don't really have time right now to go to the doctor because I'm focused on my craft and what I want to do. And there's passion involved in that. When there's passion, sometimes that puts everything else in the back seat. So what I really like to do is be able to go and educate other people that I have a common bond with, because I think it'll be easier for me to get into their ear than somebody who doesn't have a common bond with them. So that's very important to me, to be able to kind of educate certain certain areas that people just aren't focused on, like the hip hop community. It's so vast, and there's so many young artists out there, young individuals that that need to know at a young age that it's important to focus on your health and stay healthy, because you have a long life ahead of you.
Definitely. Did you want to touch on your nonprofit and the promotional materials available?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's the other thing that I'm starting now is, so I've been running my own printing company for about 15 years. It all started with my days of DJing. I've always kind of put my hands in a little of everything, and so we got into the printing business. I still run a screen printing and digital printing company now, but and I've been thinking about this for a while, but I finally put it into play. So what I've been doing as of lately is I just started going online to different Facebook platforms, and the National Kidney Foundation gave me a great platform as well, is to make my services available to patients who are looking for a living donor. There's receiving a kidney from a living donor gives you your best outcome, hands down. And the life expectancy after post-donation between receiving from a deceased donor and a living donor throughout every age bracket carries about like an extra 15 years easily on your life expectancy. So that's a big deal. But I've through the years, speaking with so many different patients, the common question is, do you have a living donor? And unfortunately, I would say about 75 to 80% of the patients that I speak with, the answer is always no. And I think the thing is that people just underestimate the power of having a living donor. And of course, a lot of people just, they're hesitant to share their story because it's their story. It's personal. It's about the fact that they're sick. People don't want to share that. And sometimes people feel they don't want to be a burden to others. And, and some people are just not comfortable with asking somebody that question, and so what I've seen, and you've probably seen, and a lot of people watching this have seen, there's always that classic story. There was one a couple years ago where a guy was down in Disney World. He was wearing a t-shirt that said, I don't remember the exact phrase, but basically just saying that he was sick, he needed a kidney, and it went viral. We're in that age now where everything can go viral like that. And it went viral, and that ended up to the path of him getting his kidney. Somebody saw it and ended up being his donor, and that was that. And we've had that recently a few times in the last year at our transplant center. People shared their story online, and somebody heard it, was connected by it, felt connected, and ended up being their donor. So what I'm doing now is I'm offering my printing services where right now I'm offering patients, they can come to me at no cost to them, and I'll print them up a couple of t-shirts that can say whatever the phrase is. I helped some of the clients, patients that have come to me, I've helped create what the phrase will be, whatever we put on there, but they can put whatever they want on the shirt, basically saying that, I'm looking for a kidney donor. They want to put their blood type on there, or the contact information to themselves or their transplant center. They can do that. I've also made a couple of car magnets for people that they can put on the side of their car, and it promotes their the fact that they're looking for a living donor. So this is something I want to do for a while, and I knew that it would be something that would be helpful, but I've taken it to a step further, and I'm still in the infancy stages now of it, but I'm developing a nonprofit, and the sole purpose of the nonprofit will be to do just that. Patients can come to me, and they'll be able to get promotional items for free at no cost to them. T-shirts that they can wear, that they can give to their family members to wear to promote that they're looking for a living donor. Again, car magnets, lawn signs, flyers, any of that type of material. And they can take that and promote the heck out of it. And, and the hope is that will be part of the fuel that will get, you know, them to, you know, find a living donor. And the nonprofit, of course, is funded by donations and things of that nature, and that will come in time. Like right now, all the projects that I'm doing, it's all coming out of my own pocket. So right now I have to be kind of limited as far as how much I can give each person, because I don't want to turn down anybody, you know. So right now, if someone comes to me, I'm able to give them like a few shirts, and then in the hopes in time that you know, we'll be able to you know, give people a lot more material to work with.
Yeah, that's such an incredible resource for the community.
Yeah, it's something different, you know, because it's, I mean, anybody could go to any printer and say, hey, I want to make 100 shirts with, you know, it says I need a living donor and this and that, but you're going to pay for it, right? I mean, and then rightfully so. I mean, that's a business. Like I have my screen printing company, I have people come in, landscapers and things of that nature. So they come and they purchase their shirts. But for this particular situation, it was part of my mission. You know, this is to, you know, it's to help somebody get what they need, which is, you know, a new lease on their life. So they'll be able to come to my foundation and we'll take care of them.
I think we covered all the questions I have for you today. Did you have anything else you wanted to share with the community?
No, I think I'm good. I apologize if I go in and out, because my mind kind of I just talk about one thing and then I kind of veer off and talk about something else.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
No, my pleasure. I appreciate the outlet. It's important just to be able just to talk and just, you know, let people know that that you should always think that there's somebody out there that can help, especially in where we are right now, just in life and what it's been like the last several years. And it just seems like everything's always in turmoil, and it just seems like nowadays it's very uncommon to find somebody to even say good morning to you or to hold the door open for you. At least where I'm from in New York. I don't, you know, other parts of the country it's still a little different. Don't get me wrong, I love where I'm from, but it's just, that's the nature of things, and it's sad, you know. And I just, so when you can do something for somebody, and you know, with the intent of knowing that you did it because you wanted to do that for that person, but at the same time, maybe that'll be the snowball effect, and they'll, you know, pay it forward and do something for somebody else.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
You're very welcome. Same here.